Max Verstappen wins his third world championship. We move on to the round of 8 in the NASCAR playoffs and your local racing report. All that and more on the Flag to Flag podcast.
Welcome
2 weeks in a row.
You got
2
it
weeks
right.
in a row.
You got it right
I got
again.
it first time, 2 weeks in a row.
First try. So, welcome to the Flag to Flag podcast, episode number 10. A lot going on in the racing world this week. A lot of Formula One. See number 10 right there. A lot of Formula One news going on. We have a world champion. We're moving on to the round of 8, like Chad said, and other racing things going on. My name's John, the motorsport enthusiast, and my lovely host is Mr. Chad Barker. Looks like he got a 10 slapped on the front of that wheel, so you're representing your number there. So that's a cool thing to have. Is that your actual font and everything? Is that your real number too?
Yeah, it's my actual racing number. So when we got the decals for it, we got a bunch of extras, and we put some on some toolboxes and the trailer and stuff, and I just slapped one on here. I do have some bad news to share. Unfortunately, this past weekend, Formula V driver Jack Herberger moved out.
What? Where'd he go?
He went back. So here's what happened. So last week we started a new session here at school, and we had a bit of a break in between sessions. And I stayed here, and he went back home to Maryland. Mm-hmm. And he was apparently he was riding his friend's electric scooter or something. And I don't know, he hit a curb or something where he stopped and went forward. And when you go like that, you're supposed to go like this. He didn't know that. You're supposed to put your arms. He ended up coming home face first. He got in late Sunday night. And so I was already asleep. I wake up the next morning and I look over because I have morning classes and he had afternoon classes. And he's got this giant Band-Aid on his face. His chin's all cut up. I'm like, dude, what happened? He goes, I fell off a bike. I'm like, you did not just fall off. And he had road rash all over his head, and he got a pretty good concussion from it. And so his plan was just to kind of chill out for the first few days until he felt better. And then he was not feeling better, and he said he felt a little worse, and he was just he's in electronics class right now, which is very mentally heavy. Yeah. And he was like, and you don't want to miss a day of that class. So he decided to go back home to Maryland. He's going to take this session off, and he'll be back in about 6 weeks. Will he be with me? I'm not sure. In 6 weeks' time, I might have a new roommate. I might not.
Well, dang.
It was very sudden. It was very sudden to me. I think it was Thursday night. He told me. I was kind of chilling in bed, and he came in, and he was just like, "Hey, I'm going home tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh,
that's
okay.
Rough.
See ya." And I was like, rough. All right. Yeah. So,
hope he
prayers
has a
go out
speedy
to
recovery.
him.
Yeah.
Oh,
really.
Yeah. Really hope he does better. But yeah, besides that, I mean, it's been pretty chill here. Got school. I got to do some homework after this podcast and study a bit. I got a test tomorrow. So that'll be fun. So
that's fun.
Well, what have you been up to?
Nothing. Just chilling out. Had an engagement party this weekend, so that was fun.
What was my invitation?
Bro, you're not even in state. You're not even in state, man. If you were here, I would have invited you. But you're
okay. That's
fair.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I think it's funny since we've started this podcast, we've only actually seen each other face to face one time.
Once.
Well,
yeah. Well, you've been up in school.
I have been, and I kind of called you while I was already here, and I was like, "Hey, man, let's do this." But yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I got the call, and I was like, "I remember this dude. Does this dude remember me?" And obviously, he remembered me. So
I remember when I first saw your Instagram post, I was like, I think I commented on the video and I said, "Hey man, we used to race go-karts together. Do you remember me?" And then I didn't hear anything. I was like, "All right."
Cool. Oh, you didn't? Oh.
No, you never responded. And then the idea of the podcast came into my head, and I'm just like, this guy is already making some good content. It's worth a shot.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we go. Yeah, you need to come back down here. I haven't raced since we last raced at the go-kart.
You haven't?
K1.
That's been since.
I haven't been. It's been close to a year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's insane.
Was it a year?
No, it'll be a year. It'll be a year in
December.
Late
January.
December. It'll be a year in late December.
Yeah. So you need to come back down. You need to come back down, and we need to go.
Yeah, we'll figure it out at some point. But for right now, let's get into what we got going on. Still pretty quiet in the world of Indy World. Tuesday came out. McLaren announced its plans to enter a strategic alliance with Unoco's Hollinger Racing to benefit both teams. So I think it's something similar we saw with Petty Motorsports and GMS Racing.
Right.
Something we saw with that. So yeah, maybe just a merger just to try and help each other out, benefit both teams. So, I mean, that's what the thing said. Gonna be interesting.
Why not? Just, see what happens. But that's all we got for IndyCar. Nothing else. Nothing new.
Yeah, it's
nothing exciting. Let's so moving on to Formula One.
Formula One at Qatar.
We were back.
Formula One was the only event that raced there, and it was one, I could actually watch the race, which was great.
Because it didn't happen at like 7 o'clock in the morning when you were asleep. It happened at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 12.
Noon, yeah.
Yeah. So
and it was still very entertaining and interesting to watch. I think they mandated a rule after the sprint race. You cannot change. You have to change tires after 18 laps.
18 laps because the degradation was awful. I don't know if you saw. I think it was. It's either a Williams or a McLaren, where the tire was threading after one lap, and I'm like, how is that possible? But what I heard was it was stupid hot. Like it was
they weren't expecting it.
Like ridiculously hot to where drivers had to literally a couple drivers requested a wheelchair because they couldn't walk. I mean, drivers requested water on them thrown. I mean, it was probably one of the hottest races.
I remember one pit stop. The announcers were saying like, "Hey, let's keep an eye on Fernando Alonso's pit stop here. We might see a water bucket get thrown on.
Right. Exactly.
Which, if and I've kind of learned a few things. That's a double-edged sword. It'll cool you down for a minute, but as soon as that water gets underneath your seat, it gets hotter, and then at some point it starts to boil.
Yeah, and then it adds weight to the car. Then it adds weight to the car, which, every little kilogram in Formula One matters. So
this is America. It's an ounce.
Kilogram. I'm trying to be relevant, bro. I'm trying to be relevant to our international crowd, which we have some.
Maybe.
We'll see.
But
let's talk about the sprint. Yeah.
So we had a McLaren front row for the 19-lap shootout. Last time there was a McLaren front row was in 2012, which I believe was the last year that Lewis Hamilton was on the McLaren team. So that is very interesting. I want to say that's right. Liam Lawson goes off and stalls, bringing out the safety car. We went back green on lap 3 with Piastri leading. George Russell and Softs took the lead on lap 3, which it was very interesting to see the tire choice. So,
right.
And I remember when Piastri got past, his engineer said, "All right, we expected this to happen. They're going to fall off. We're going to stay in." So it was I don't know if you're not allowed to pit. I don't know if it's just... it's just smarter not to pit, but
right.
But yeah, and we've got another sprint race weekend coming into COTA in a few weeks.
That'll be fun. Yep.
Let's see here. Logan Sargent loses the rear end of his car, bringing out another safety car on lap 3. Come on, dude. Come on. All right.
It seems like it's just slowly getting worse for Sargent. Just slightly
His seat's still open. There is nothing. I will check again. There is. I have not seen anything has came out.
No, I don't think
so. There's, which tells me one of two things: they're happy with their decision, or they're trying to make a decision, or they don't know.
The latter. I think it could be that too. I mean, he's good, but it seems to be he's a liability slightly. It's kind of the same thing with Ricciardo. But I thought he was a little bit of a liability to AlphaTauri, but we'll see. But yes, he retired, or not retired. He brought out the safety car on lap 3, back to green.
Yeah, we went back to green. And going off of what you said with Ricciardo's won races. Ricciardo is a proven figure in Formula One. Not as much as a Hamilton or a Verstappen or an Alonso. But yes, he is a proven figure within Formula One. Yep. Sargent's still trying to do that. So yeah, back green, lap 7 with Russell still leading. Piastri takes the lead, turn 1, lap 11. Safety car comes out on lap 11. Perez, Ocon, and Hulkenberg go 3 wide into turn 3 and all make contact. So it feels like every time a Formula 1, I feel like that's always like one of the more exciting parts is whenever Formula 1 cars go 3 wide. That's usually pretty exciting.
Oh, sure. The thing was, what was he thinking? What was Ocon thinking? Like, he literally squeezed Hulkenberg in the middle. Like, I watched that live, and my first reaction was like, dude, you went 3 wide into a corner where I guess you could go 3 wide, but it's probably not going to work out very well.
No.
And you pinched the nose of Hulkenberg. Perez couldn't go anywhere. He was going to go off track. Hulkenberg, what looked like he was trying to back out a little bit, and then you just see Ocon just wreck both of them. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if you saw Hamilton's view. Hamilton had the best shot. He had the best view, but right behind those guys.
It's... I don't know. It was really rough. I know it was rough on Perez because at that point, all Max Verstappen had to do was finish within the top 7.
Oh, 7.
If he finished 8th, he would have gotten 1 point, and well, technically it wouldn't have been decided because if my math would have been correct, they would have been tied after Abu Dhabi, but 2nd or 7th or higher, he would have gotten the world championship, which he did end up doing. Hulkenberg retires, Ocon retires, Perez retires, back green on lap 15 with Piastri leading. Piastri continues to lead to the checkered flag. And with a 2nd place finish, Max Verstappen becomes a 3-time world champion, which we're not surprised to see.
No. We knew this 10 races ago that he was probably going to be the champion. I mean, he's in the completely other category that nobody else is in right now, and it's cool to see. I mean, I'm not a huge Max fan by any means, but he has literally dominated. I mean, to such an extreme fashion that obviously we've seen history in the making this year when it comes to number of consecutive wins. This is a record year that doesn't come around too often from one driver. So, I mean, think about it from one hand, it's like, oh yeah, it's boring because we know Max is going to win every race. Thing on the other hand, we're witnessing history with Max Verstappen and what he's been able to do. So, yeah, but
I think it's a big thing that I kind of thought this to myself, and I wouldn't be surprised if other people are thinking this as well, is after he won that 3rd consecutive championship, everyone's probably thinking to themselves now, and I wouldn't be surprised, are we seeing Hamilton mid to late 2010s pace? Are we going to have another?
So why not?
Are we going to have another 7-time champion? Are we there's a possibility that at this momentum, at this rate, there's a chance that records are going to be broken.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
all right,
we don't. But at some point, it's just the win. Like this Red Bull dominance is going to continue. But when is it going to stop? When is that team going to come up and make that splash? I mean, McLaren probably is one of their best bets right now to actually get into that. Talk about Piastri getting his first win in Formula 1. Obviously, it was a sprint, but still, a win is a win. So, think about this, 24, 25, 26, 27. He needs to win 4 more to tie Schumacher and to tie Hamilton. So, could we see that? I mean, I think that's in the cards. I think that's fair because Verstappen is still relatively early, slightly early into his career.
He's young.
Earlier. Yeah, so he has the time. I mean, think about the difference between Verstappen's age and Hamilton's age. I mean, it's somewhat significant. So in that time, we could see history. We could see the best Formula 1 driver statistically in the midst.
I remember when Hamilton was dominating, a lot, and he was putting up numbers that no one thought were ever going to be possible. When he got his 100th win in Russia in 21, no one thought that's going to be possible. And now I don't want to say I know what's going to happen, but I mean, I feel like we might be. I've kind of got a feeling like a lot of people are saying it's going to be a very long time before we see someone break that most wins record. It might not. With this momentum.
With
this momentum, and like you said, just like with Mercedes, they were on that incline for so long, and then at 20, and then 2020 was the top. And then 2021, we saw that little bit of a downfall, and it's just been downhill.
Yeah, it's just been nothing.
Yeah, and so are we going to see that with Red Bull? Who's going to be that person? It might be McLaren. McLaren's been fighting back, like you said, but yeah, moving on to the race. A few things before the race. Sergio Perez starts in the rear after changing a power unit, cause of the crash that happened the day beforehand.
Yep.
And Carlos Sainz did not start the race because of a fuel leak.
That's so frustrating. You got to think about Carlos. He has to be pissed.
Oh yeah, But yeah, lights went out. Max Verstappen and George Russell on the front row for 57 laps. Lewis Hamilton had a great start on the outside, but turns down on his teammate in turn 1, bringing out the safety car. All right? At first, they kind of blamed each other, as racers do. But I will say this, I have respect for Hamilton. When he was interviewed about it later, he said, I rewatched it, 100% my fault.
On me, yeah.
And that's one thing I like about Hamilton is when it is his fault, he owns up to it.
Yeah, sure. But he chopped the nose so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Ocon did basically the same, not same move, but pinched where they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so safety car came out, back green on lap 5, Verstappen leading. Nico Hulkenberg gets a 10-second penalty for improper starting position. Now, this wasn't like he was just misplaced in his box. No, he was in the wrong box.
Yep.
So, they pull up, and, they all pull up in a single line, and then the one guy goes in, the next guy goes, the next guy goes in. Hulkenberg probably just wasn't paying attention, and it happened. He was supposed to go right behind, and just chain reaction, So
yep.
it might have been something like that. Let's see here. Verstappen pits on lap 18. Alex Albon takes the lead. Williams up front. That was really cool to see.
That was pretty neat. And he's the better of the two drivers. I got to say right now, I think by far, he's 100% the better driver in that Williams camp.
Yeah.
Saw that, which was great to see within Formula One, but obviously, that lead was very short-winded because Max decided to take the lead again there going into lap 29. And he broke the record for the most laps led in a single season. Not surprising. Just to his dominance, he's won almost every race this year outside of, I think, 3 or 2, maybe 3. So that means he's not naturally going to be up front there, and he kept the lead. So,
yeah. But yeah, that was interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Lap 27, Perez, 5-second penalty for track limits, which was a huge factor this weekend, was track limits. We had a new surface on the Qatar Grand Prix circuit. And, yeah, that was definitely, if I recall, I believe it must have been, it was a bit of a talking point, too, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was. And so that's, different surfaces have different effects on the car, on the tire. And speaking about on the tire, they were not expecting this race to be as hot as it was. And tire degradation was awful. It was the worst that I've seen in a second. And, we talked about it beforehand. The deg on one of those cars after one lap was just horrendous. You saw the threads. It was just threading the tire.
Yeah.
And so they had that rule where you couldn't pit or you couldn't stay out for longer than 17 or 18 laps. So
yeah.
But it was also very hot on the drivers too. Multiple drivers just burning up, literally burning up in the cars, complaining.
Some say it was like Singapore level. Some were saying worse. But 29, Max Verstappen, breaks the record. Lap 34, Alonso goes off on turn 2 after losing his rear end. Verstappen pits and keeps the lead. One thing the teams were not expecting was the heat. Many drivers complaining. Lap 40, Logan Sargent retires after being dehydrated. Which at least he didn't tear the car up.
But still, a DNF is a DNF.
It's
look at it.
No points. Yeah, and he was having a halfway decent run.
Oh yeah, he was. He was.
I was watching it
possibly for points.
Yeah, I was watching it. I was just like, please, come on, like just 1 point, 10th place, 1 point, please, it'd be great. But wasn't meant to be. Max Verstappen comes home to win the Qatar Grand Prix, and Oscar Piastri in second, Lando Norris in third. One thing that did happen, it wasn't confirmed until I think yesterday that McLaren now holds the record for the fastest pit stop in Formula One history.
Yeah.
1.8 seconds. Beating Red Bull's, I believe, 1.94 seconds.
I mean, that's just the speed, the pure speed, and the muscle memory that these guys have. It's insane. I mean, and if you look at it, I saw like an overhead shot of like explaining each position that a crew member has on a Formula One pit stop. There's like 15 guys. There's like 15 guys out there.
Yeah.
Because you have reserve tire carriers, you have the stabilizers in the middle, you have reserves on each side, you have the front and the back jacks, you have the tire changers, you have the tire installers, if you want to say. It's truly a work of art. I love it.
Yeah. It's real interesting because you got one guy, wheel nut off, tire comes off. You got one guy taking the tire off. You got another guy putting the tire on. And everyone has one job. We'll see something like NASCAR, IndyCar. Everyone's got multiple jobs.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So yeah. Let's see here. Battle for second. The battle for second is on right now between Perez. Drivers eligible for second place on the Drivers' Championship is Perez, Hamilton, Alonso, Sainz, Leclerc, Norris, Russell, and Piastri. So I think that's probably going to stay the same. Battle for second in the Constructors are Mercedes, Ferrari, Aston Martin, McLaren, and Alpine. And let's look to the future a bit here. Something that came out today. Pirelli signed a deal with Formula One to be their tire supplier until 2027.
Nice.
So yeah, tad bit of information. But yeah, let's look into the future. I believe we got an off weekend this weekend before we head to Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Big race for Haas, big race for Logan Sargent. Big race in general. The American fans love their Formula One. And so it's, what was the smirk for? I got to know.
Because you say American fans love their Formula One, my first thought is American fans love Drive to Survive.
Yes, that's exactly what I was saying. That is 100% what I was saying.
So unless you're like Chad and I, where we like all forms of motorsports, granted,
I like race cars. Go ahead.
That's a clip, and that's a clip too.
Okay.
Granted, I got into Formula One mainly. I mean, I watched Formula One because of Drive to Survive, not because of the drama, because of the racing element of it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that technical. I was like, okay, I'm going to get into this heavier. So, so COTA. I mean, we're in America. This is going to be one of many races coming up here in America. Obviously, we got Vegas coming up a little bit later on in the season in November. So, what's your initial thoughts going into COTA? Who's your winner? Who's your podium finishers?
I kind of took a long shot with. It's weird now because Perez being on the podium it's a long shot.
Right.
And
right.
I know his contract says it's up in 2024. Perez's, but we've seen Helmut Marko just take him out whenever he wants.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I think it's going to be similar to what we saw these past two races. Verstappen on top, and then McLaren 2-3.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction.
Okay.
I'm going to go 3 different manufacturers are going to be in the top on the podium. 3 different ones. I don't know their order, but this is what I believe will happen. A Red Bull, a Ferrari, and a McLaren. If you look at Ferrari was very strong here last year in practice and qualifying. Sainz had a terrible start on the start, and so did Leclerc a little bit. Sainz finished, he didn't finish because he didn't even complete a lap, barely. Well, he did, but not, you know what I mean? So with that being said, I think it could be a true battle. I think Verstappen is still going to be in that category where nobody else can touch him. But I think within what we saw this past week with McLaren, with Ferrari's success recently in COTA, I think we could see 3 manufacturers. I think it could be a Verstappen, Sainz, Norris. That's my prediction. Verstappen, Sainz, Norris.
All right.
I think Sainz wants to come back here and perform better. I mean, he got the pole. He led multiple practice sessions. He led practice 1. Leclerc led practice 2. And Leclerc and Sainz finished 2-3 in practice 3. And both Ferraris qualified 1-2. So I think Ferrari has a good day. I also think McLaren. So Verstappen 1, wins the race. Sainz 2, Norris 3rd.
Yeah. And I'm looking right now. I love these times for when this stuff's going to be happening. Practice at 1:30. Qualifying at 5.
Oh, it's sunset? Dude.
Bro, the sunset at COTA is amazing.
The sunset at COTA mixed with the Top Gun theme song
yes!
is literally what I dream about. It's
the
just
giant American flag in the background.
It is just
sprint shootout at 1:30 on October 21st, Saturday. The sprint race at 6 p.m.
Ooh, is that going to be a transition?
I don't know, because I don't know if COTA has lights. I'm not sure if COTA has lights.
It has to have lights. If it's a FIA-sanctioned track, it has to have lights.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I mean, that's a big assumption. I actually don't know. I just thought it sounded really good, but I think it would have to.
I'm not sure. I'm thinking
Texas.
right now. I don't think I've ever seen a race there under the lights.
Sunset at Austin, Texas is 7:06, so it's
okay. So it's
does COTA have lights? Drive down COTA's tunnel road with more than 6 million. No, that's a Christmas show. I don't want to know about Peppermint Parkway.
Oh my gosh, they do. I forgot. COTA is. They've got stuff going on with SMI, and at all the SMI tracks during Christmas, they have the beautiful light stuff. They did it at Nashville for a few years, and it was amazing.
I don't know. I don't know if it has lights. Maybe
I'd be cool.
I don't know. I don't know. Either way, moving on.
So yeah. And then on October 22nd, the race at 3 p.m.
Love it. Love it.
I love it.
Thank goodness. So there you go. That's should be about it for Formula One, right? Should be.
Yeah, that's about it. Hoping for a good race. We got an off weekend next week, and on the day of the COTA race, or the day after the COTA race, when we do our podcast recording, should I go ahead and say it?
Sure. Why not? Announce it.
We're going to be having our very first guest on the Flag to Flag podcast. It's going to be USF Pro junior driver Aiden Potter. I know Aiden personally. We grew up in the same town. We raced at the same racetracks for a while, and so it's going to be very interesting to see what he's got to say and talk about his racing journey and everything so far. We've also got a flurry of other drivers that we've got planned to come on here in the coming future as well. But let's move on to our local racing report. We are going to Middleford Speedway in Seaford, Delaware.
Nice.
Middleford Speedway had a big show. They had over 27 mod lights show up, and they had a bunch of heat races, and so that kind of took up the entirety of their night's race. And so since they only had one race, I'm going to read off your top 5 for the mod lights at Middleford Speedway. Coming in 5th place, we have the number 6J of Joe Isabel. 4th place, 16W of Tim White. 3rd place, 1D of Austin Dean. 2nd place, number 80, Dylan Evans. And taking home your Mod Lights feature win in the number V75, Brandon Dennis. So, if you would like your local short track shouted out on the Flag to Flag podcast, email flagtoflag10@gmail.com. Or hit us up on any of our social media platforms. Listen out for those at the end of the episode. And make sure you go out to your local short track and bring a friend. Let's look at NASCAR. NASCAR was at Charlotte.
Yep.
So, NASCAR Youth Series had their... sorry, looking at some. I made a error here. There we go. NASCAR was at Charlotte this weekend. NASCAR Youth Series had their final round. They have not updated their points yet, so hopefully by next episode I will be able to give you your NASCAR Youth Series champions for this year. But here's who we had. We had R.J. Dayton and Case James both taking home 2 wins on the weekend. Then we had Keenan Brown, Logan June, Gracie Ray Glass, Kimber Crooms, Lincoln Smith, Gavin Gardner, Jax Whitmere, Kedron Evanson, Rue Reeves, and Tyler Lupton. So,
nice.
Congratulations to all. Then, ARCA had their season finale in Toledo. Their national series had their season finale in Toledo. I didn't know it was in Toledo until the very last second, or else I would have gone to it. Let's see here. Oh, lost my... There we go. In third place, we had Sean Higueroni. Second place, we had Jesse Love. And first place, William Swallich. And if you didn't hear last episode, Jesse Love is your 2023 ARCA Menard Series champion. Trucks were off this weekend. The Xfinity Series raced at the Roval as well. Stage 1 went to Justin Allgaier, who had a pretty hard wreck later that race. Stage 2, John Homernicek took home that, and then Sam Mayer took home the win, and that rounded off the round of 12 for the Xfinity Series as we move into the round of, the round of 8 for both the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. So, yeah, we had some news coming out, some very exciting news, and some interesting news. So, Tuesday, it was released that NASCAR fined both Matt Crafton and Dylan Sanchez. Am I surprised by this? Nicholas Sanchez. My bad. I don't know why I said Dylan. But
you're gonna get sucker punched.
Probably. Or I'm gonna get a death threat. One of the two. Not sure. But I'm not necessarily surprised by this.
No.
Nick Sanchez only received a $5,000 penalty, and what was it? Matt Crafton received a $15,000 fine.
Jeez.
So yeah.
So a $10,000 sucker punch, basically is what cost him. Yeah.
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 I remember back when I was a hard Hendrick fan, there were some days I'd punch Brad Keselowski for free.
Oh, me too. Oh. Remember when Jeff Gordon and Keselowski got at it? That was probably the most
at Texas?
Thing. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
I remember watching that with my dad. Yeah, that was a fun one. Also on Tuesday, NASCAR Cup Series released that it will be racing at Iowa Speedway for the first time in 2024.
Love that track. That's going to be so fun. The rear end is going to step out so bad in 4.
Yeah.
You're going to see just wrecks.
Yeah.
Well, not all wrecks, but like you're going to see those cars get light out of 4, which is cool because you got IndyCar there. And you got the Cup Series. Do you have Xfinity there too in trucks?
Trucks, no. Xfinity, yes.
Yeah, so you got 3 Premier Series there. It's going to be awesome.
And with the announcement of Iowa on Wednesday, we finally got it. The 2024 NASCAR Cup Series schedule has been released. Do we want to talk about it?
Sure, yeah. Let's dive into it.
Let's pull it up and talk about it. All right. So, NASCAR.
Looking at it. I mean, it's we got some moves, obviously, but we have some things that are staying on board. So, obviously, we're starting out with the Clash on February 4th, the duels at Daytona, followed by the Daytona 500. Nothing too crazy going on at the beginning of the season, but a couple things, looking forward that we need to mention. Iowa Speedway is going to be on June 16th. So they're going to be in Iowa, them going from Sonoma to Iowa. We have Nashville moving from the late June to the end of June, followed by the Chicago Street Course coming back on again. And then on July 21st, you have the Brickyard coming back. Thank goodness. Good job, NASCAR. They made the right move there.
I'm thinking I'm going to try and do a 4 straight right there. So I'm going to try my best to go back home to Nashville to watch that race.
Holy
Stay
crap.
with what?
Going like to all 4 races between Nashville and Indy?
Because I'm going to go back home. I'm going to try. I don't know. As of right now, I'm a broke college student, so I don't know. But Ally 400, that could be interesting. And then stay with my cousins in Chicago for the Chicago Street Race.
Nice.
Then go to then stay with my other cousins in Pennsylvania for Pocono.
There you go.
And then It's only like a 3-hour, 3.5-hour drive from where I'm at to the Brickyard. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Pinocchio, but Pocono. There we go. Look, it's a tongue twister.
No, it's not. It's 3
Pocono.
syllables. Pocono. It's not a tongue twister.
For me, it is.
Pinocchio.
I don't know why I said Pinocchio. But Pocono might be a bit of a stretch. That's on the other side of Pennsylvania for me. Michigan, maybe. But yeah, I'm going to kind of go from the top here. We got kind of going back to what we're used to seeing. 2 super speedways, if you will, starting off the season at Daytona and Atlanta. So that's kind of interesting. Then we head to a smaller version of the West Coast Swing. We got Las Vegas and Phoenix. So very interesting to see that. Going to be looking at for further down the road. Go to Bristol for just a regular Bristol race for the Food City 500.
Yep.
No dirt.
Yep. I'm kind of happy. But the thing is, it's going to be really hot. It's going to be really hot. Or no, my bad. It's going to be really cold. It's going to be really cold.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's still kind of that weather there. Then we go to the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix at Coda. Richmond Raceway for the Toyota Owners 400. Then we head to Martinsville. Texas got moved to earlier in the schedule. So which means that tells me this. We're getting closer to getting it knocked off the schedule.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I think they're just trying to get that out of the way early. And, obviously a lot of dates got moved around. Then we head to Talladega, then to Dover, Delaware, Kansas, Darlington. Then we have the All-Star Open at North Wilkesboro, the All-Star Race at North Wilkesboro as well. And then we have on the biggest day in racing this year will be on May 26th. So wake up early, catch the Monaco Grand Prix, chill out in the afternoon, watch the Indy 500, and then go to bed watching the Coke 600.
Yep, and Kyle Larson's pulling what they call the Hendrick 1100 now.
Really, that's what they're calling it, the Hendrick 1100.
Yep,
that would be cool if he won both. Do you think?
I'm thinking now, maybe.
It's Kyle Larson. I mean, he's proven that he can get into anything and wheel it.
But 500 laps at Indy, and then 600 miles, not 500 laps, 200 laps at Indy, and then 400 laps at Charlotte. That's a lot, man. That's a lot.
So I don't know which one I will be at, but I know I will be at either the Coke 600 or the Indianapolis 500.
Really?
I know I'm going to be at one of the two. I've got some buddies who live right next door. A few of them are actually from North Carolina. One of them's from Hickory, North Carolina, an hour outside of Charlotte.
Yeah.
And we were talking a few months back about possibly going down. 100%. And but I'm also talking with my cousins to possibly having another trip out to Indianapolis for the 500 again this year.
Absolutely.
So yeah. But then we head to Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois, right outside of St. Louis. Sonoma Raceway in June.
It's going to be hot.
It is going to be hot, but why can we not have a spring date at Sonoma?
I don't know.
It is beautiful out there in the spring. It would be just, I don't know. That's what I would want.
Yep.
Then we go to Iowa. No name sponsor for that yet. Neither is there one for New Hampshire. Then we have the Ally 400 at Nashville, Chicago Street Race, Pocono Raceway. Then we go to Indianapolis. I'm definitely going to try and be at that one. Back to Richmond, then Michigan, Daytona, and then Daytona International. And then for the regular season finale, we're going to Darlington.
That's good. I
like that. I like that.
Move. Because you're going to have people full sending that thing. I mean, you're going to have people upset. And that's going to start, on September 8th, moving into the playoffs.
Moving into the playoffs. Round 16, and boy, do we've got an interesting round 16.
Literally, I mean, all the 3 major track types in NASCAR.
We start off at Atlanta, a super speedway mile-and-a-half track. Then, usually, in past years, I would have said this earlier, but we're saying it now in the round of 16. Watkins Glen.
A good move. I like the move.
It could be interesting. Watkins Glen. Then we go to Bristol, a short track. So
love it.
Super excited for the round of 16. Round of 12 kind of stays the same.
Yeah.
Kind of. We have a mixed.
Remove the short track.
Remove the short track, replaces it with an intermediate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got an intermediate starting us off at Kansas. In my personal opinion, the second or the best intermediate track. Michigan and theirs switch year to year.
Agreed.
Then we go to Dega. Then we head over to Charlotte for the road course, which is interesting. That was kind of been rumored if it was or wasn't going to be. So maybe to see in the coming years what might happen with that. Then we head over to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Homestead, and then we actually have 2 races this year in November. Martinsville to end out the round of 8, and then, once again, in Phoenix, the championship race. Now, I still think that the championship race should be rotated every year, should be at a different track every year. I don't think it would ever go to somewhere like a Talladega or a Daytona.
Just imagine. Oh my gosh.
But you can't tell me a championship race at Martinsville wouldn't be cool.
Or Bristol.
Or Darlington. All right? But then again, with me being involved in racing, it's weird with different areas. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff on the next year for racing. We have one of the longest schedules in Formula One history of 24 races. Mm-hmm. We have new tracks coming onto the IndyCar schedule with the Milwaukee Mile mainly. I drove that on iRacing a few weeks back, and it's interesting.
It's still tough. It's still tough.
It's a mile flat track, so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then we've got the NASCAR Cup Series where they so it's going to be interesting. They're definitely listening to the fans a little bit, but they're also working with what they have to do.
Yeah.
But definitely going to be interesting. And but let's get into the race that happened this past week at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yep.
Let's see here. So, Kyle Larson to the rear after a wreck in practice, causing him to go into a backup car and missing qualifying. And thankfully, because of his charter, he was able to start the race. Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell lead the field to green for 109 laps. Now, on the start of this race, I saw something very interesting. Tyler Reddick chose the outside.
Yep. It's a good move.
I didn't think it was a good move until I saw them go into turn 1.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, that is a good move. But, so it was definitely interesting to see those restarts. We didn't see anyone go into the heartburn turn very hard, which, that's kind of one of the staples of it, which is interesting. Kozlowski misses the chicane and fails to stop and gets a pass-through penalty. Tyler Reddick ends up winning stage 1. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, great, I'm going to get another text message from John.
Yeah.
Gosh. But hey, my pick got close there too.
Who was your pick?
Busch.
Oh, yeah, but then he fell way off.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he said it himself. It was him. I think he basically said he just kind of fell out of the seat. So, let's see here. Bell and Daniel Suarez lead the field going into stage 2. Chase Elliott takes the lead quickly into stage 2. Caution comes out right before the end of stage 2 after contact between Corey LaJoie and Josh Bilicki at the exit of pit road. So they were racing hard off of pit road right there, and
it's tight.
Yeah, it is.
It's a 90-degree turn. I mean, you're making a hard left. So,
in iRacing, usually when you're racing in iRacing or when you're racing these cars, you don't really have to go much more than this right here or anything. But when you're pulling out of the pits, you're having to you're
fully
turning the wheel.
Yeah.
Let's see here. With stage 2 ending, Denny Hamlin advances to the round of 8. Chase Elliott ended up winning stage 2. Kyle Busch leads the field to stage 3. At this point, I'm thinking I'm going to text you. I called it. You
forgot it, but you forgot about one of the best road course racers in the series, Mr. AJ Allmendinger. Justin Allmendinger?
Why did I write Justin?
Well, who is Justin Allmendinger?
I don't know.
AJ.
I think I was thinking about Justin Allgaier or something.
Oh, probably.
Because I was like, writing a bunch of notes. And
Gotcha.
yeah. But AJ Allmendinger takes the lead. Caution out with 34 to go. Denny Hamlin loses the rear end, and Mike Rockefeller hits him.
Good.
I don't know. I was about to say, I don't know if you saw the crowd shots, but I don't think I've seen that many people that happy to see someone spin out. So that was definitely interesting. Gibbs and Allmendinger lead the field to green with 31 to go. Caution back out after the 43 goes around and collects the 34, which I thought was kind of funny. 43, 34. Bet green, 27 to go. Allmendinger and Gibbs still lead. Caution back out with 25 to go after Andy Lally spins going into turn 1. Bet green on lap 22. Allmendinger leads Gibbs. Suarez turns Cindric into Wallace. No caution. Caution does come out with 15 to go. Christopher Bell makes contact with Suarez in turn 8. Bet green with 13 to go. Allmendinger leads. Caution quickly back out after Ricky Stenhouse catches fire.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
That was they got to figure something out. They've been a lot better with this, but
It's not as bad as like last year, but still.
This car was shooting flames, like
Yeah.
literally out of the exhaust. It was a fireball, like it looked like a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Out of and the whole inside of the car caught fire.
Yeah, so that's definitely interesting. I was surprised on how calm he was when he got out. It looked like he was more or less just pissed off that he was out of the race.
It's like come on.
Oh well.
Burnt Totino's pizzas.
Yeah, he burnt the pizza rolls. Allmendinger and Busch go back green with 10 to go. The field stays green. AJ Allmendinger gets his win at the Charlotte Roval. A very emotional win for him.
100%.
You know, he very much wears his emotions out on his sleeves, and he's kind of one of my favorite drivers for that because he doesn't hold back and he's not scared to give his true opinion about stuff. And yeah, you know, and I remember when he was also very excited when he won in Nashville in the Xfinity Series, and he got asked the same question both times, and he's just like, you know, what does this win mean to you? And he's just like, you never know when you're going to win another one.
Exactly.
So yeah, it is going to be interesting. And after that, Busch, Chastain, Wallace, and Brad Keselowski are eliminated.
I think that was our picks, weren't it? I think those were the 4 that we chose.
Those were your picks. I picked Busch going out and both 2311 drivers.
Going
out.
Right.
Yeah.
Reddick.
But speaking of 2311, I have this theory, okay? I've been looking on social media, NASCAR social media. All right? And if you look at, we're going to talk about football just for a second here, okay? If you look at a lot of sports social media, especially in the NFL, around one team, the Kansas City Chiefs, we're not seeing much Kansas City Chiefs news. Do you know what we're seeing? Taylor Swift news. And I feel like, I'm going to say this, Michael Jordan is the Taylor Swift of NASCAR right now. Because we see a lot more about Michael Jordan than we do about 2311.
Yeah. I mean, it is the greatest basketball player of all time, arguably. The most influential basketball player of all time, arguably, depending on who you ask. I'd agree with that. It was actually funny. There was, it was me and I think all my iRacing friends. We were talking about specifically what is the equivalent of Taylor Swift to NASCAR. And I don't really know if there was one, but I think there is one. I mean, he has a little bit more stake in the game versus Taylor Swift, but I think, yeah, Michael Jordan, 100%. I mean, you have Pitbull
but here's the thing.
House.
I've only seen Pitbull at one race, and it was Daytona
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. My
All
MJ's
right.
there every week.
Yes, that's one thing, because he grew up in the Charlotte area.
Yeah, he's actually, he was a big NASCAR fan, which
Yeah.
I didn't know about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is really cool.
I remember learning about that. He was a massive NASCAR fan, and he's at every race. So I mean, it's good to see that. It's good to see that he is invested into his business.
Yeah,
That's what I
do
really
too.
like.
I agree.
And yeah, so that's really cool. Predictions for Vegas. Vegas, a big race, because I think
Huge race.
the last 3 or 4 years, the person who has won Las Vegas has gone on to win a championship.
Really? Oh. Didn't know that.
So I already know your pick. But yeah, so let's.
It's backed by stats. It's backed.
It is backed by stats, and I'll give you that. And I'm not gonna lie. I think I might have the same pick as you.
When you lead 176 laps in the previous race, you got to be the favorite, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. But yeah, let's so let's look at the playoffs. What we're kind of expecting, 4 get eliminated, 4 move on. That's what we're looking at right here.
Yep.
And the big question is, it's who? Who's it going to be? Actually, this just came out today. Legacy Motor Club adds Matt Kenseth hires Matt Kenseth as their competition advisor. So
I think it's a good move. They got JJ.
Yeah.
They got Matt. Legacy Motor Club, it kind of plays into the name a little bit.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth is one of those guys who, I don't know if he ever won a championship. I think he won one.
I think he did.
But,
yeah, he won one.
But he's one of those dudes. It's kind of like a Dale Earnhardt Jr. He might not have the numbers, but his presence alone is exciting about him.
Yep.
But yeah, let's see here. We got that. I just saw that. But yeah, let's look at the standings here real quick. William Byron leads both current driver and playoff standings. So right now, as it stands, going into Vegas, William Byron, top of the board, 20 points above the cut line. Martin Truex, second with 15 points above the cut line. Martin Truex, I don't know how he's gotten into the playoffs.
It's crazy. His results are awful. I don't think he's finished higher than 15th.
I don't know if he has either. I know he has one DNF, but I do know this. I saw this stat today. Do you know what the average finish for William Byron was last round out of those 3 races?
No.
1.99. He won.
Yeah, because he won.
Texas, second at Dega,
and
second at No, it was second. No, it was
Second.
second. It was second. It was the third race.
That's wild.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Denny Hamlin, funny enough, plus 11 to the cut line. Kyle Larson, plus 3 to the cut line. Now we get below the line, below the cut. Chris Buescher, -3. Christopher Bell, -8. Tyler Reddick, -8. Ryan Blaney, -10. And I'm going to be 100% honest right now. I would not be surprised if it stays like this.
I'm right there with you, because if you look at the next 3 tracks, you got Vegas, you got Homestead, you got Martinsville. And the one driver that I think we need to keep on the radar, okay, so let's actually back this up a little bit. So your 4 picks are Byron, Truex, Hamlin, Larson for the championship, right? Okay.
Those are my picks for right now. Yep.
I am flipping one.
Okay.
It's going to be Byron.
Okay.
It's going to be Larson.
Okay.
Actually, maybe flipping 2.
Oh.
Christopher Bell.
Well, yeah, maybe. I forgot about him.
I got to say.
He's one of those clutch drivers like Martinsville. Like last year we saw going into the Roval, he was in a must-win situation, won the race. Going into Martinsville, must-win situation, he won the race. So that's a very valid guess. He knows when to get the job done.
And then with Martin Truex's finishes, I would say him, but he's better at mile and a halves.
I think you actually had him being eliminated last round.
I did. I just couldn't see how he could make it in, but he obviously did. I got to go Byron, Larson, Hamlin, Christopher Bell. I think those are my top 4 because Hamlin's going to be good at Vegas. Hamlin's going to be good at a Homestead. Hamlin's going to do what he has to do at Martinsville. Not going to have to worry about Chastain at all. But
I wish we did. That was amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. Do you know the YouTuber Slap Shoes?
No, I actually don't.
Okay, well he's one of those guys on YouTube who just kind of posts whatever he wants.
Okay.
And but a majority of his content is NASCAR content.
Okay.
But he also posts some stuff, some World War II or some history stuff as well, which, I'm a little bit of a history buff.
Cool.
But he posted a video a few days ago called The Hail Melon. And it's a video kind of about that. And it's a very interesting video. He's really good at making his videos cinematic, but Slap Shoes, he spells it really weird, but Let me see if I can actually find how he spells it.
I have it S1APSH0ES.
Yes, that's him. And so, yeah, he has a video about that, and it's very interesting. He also has a big number of other videos as well, which I find very, very, very interesting.
Huh.
But yeah, so definitely recommend going to watch him. But yeah, he has a great video. If you don't know what the Hail Melon is, go check that out. Yeah, but yeah, so you're Martin, or so Truex is out, and who's in?
So yeah, Byron, Hamlin, Larson, Bell, which means Buescher, Truex, Reddick, and Blaney are out.
Reddick and Blaney, yeah, I can agree with you on that. It sucks to see Ryan Blaney in that position,
Doesn't it?
You know, and I feel like Joey. Like, I mean, I don't want to be rude towards Ryan Blaney. Don't really care about Austin Cindric, even though he just signed a deal. But Joey Logano is carrying Team Penske's NASCAR operation on his shoulders, just like Kevin Harvick was carrying Hendrick. Not Hendrick. What was it? Stuart Haas on his shoulders and got tired of it. Yeah, saw the same thing with Jimmy Johnson for 4 years straight with Hendrick. But
good point. Good point.
Yeah, but I mean, I wish we could see more out of Penske. I know that's weird for me saying this, but it's getting to the point right now where I feel like every race it's either going to be a Hendrick car, a Joe Gibbs car, or Joey Logano.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Joey Logano did win the championship last year.
That is true, but he got out the first round this year.
Yeah, but fair.
Yeah.
So I mean, but if you're one of two, in the new car, I don't think it's too easy I don't think it's that easy to say just jump ship because they won a championship, and so.
Yeah, and I guess you're right, and yes, we see moments from Trackhouse, we see moments from 2311, but it's kind of at the point now where it's like, with Formula One, there's a 90% chance it's going to be a Red Bull win. It's a 95% chance it's going to be Max Verstappen. All right, and that's one thing I like about NASCAR and IndyCar is that it's a toss-up,
Yeah.
But also it feels like, I don't know. But it is going to be interesting. But yeah, I feel like, I've got, I think that's it for me. I'm going to get NASCAR Youth Series champions here in a bit.
Cool.
But yeah, there's a chance. I will say this. If anyone is going to the Winchester 400 for the ASA Stars Tour, the Super Late Models, there is a chance I might be there.
Oh.
Depends on how my schedule plays out.
Cool.
But we've kind of hinted at this beforehand, and I'm going to go ahead and announce it. The first weekend of November, I am coming home to Tennessee, and I will be with John DeRudgeris, and we will be at all 3 days of the All-American 400 at the National Fairgrounds Speedway. We will be there at Championship Friday. We will be there at the preliminary on Saturday, and we will be there for the All-American 400, which is a 300-lap race, believe it or not. I'll explain it. So they have the super late models and the pro late models. The pro late models run 100 laps. The super late models run 300 laps.
On 3, yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll be there for the 400 on Sunday. It's going to be a great show. We're going to be walking around the infield. Come say hey if you see us. I'm super excited. I don't think I've missed this race for about 8 years now. Yeah.
Really?
About
wow.
8 years. I think I've been to this race, and I was like, I'm not, just because I'm in Ohio, it's not stopping me. So I'm either going to fly or drive down there, depending on the day or depending on what money's looking like. But yeah. Wow, yeah, we got through this episode pretty good.
Also, really quick, some other breaking news that I don't think we even talked about.
What?
The iRacing NASCAR merger for Conti.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh my God! How did we forget about that?
I don't know. So
my
NASCAR
God!
Came out.
It's
that
4:59 your time right now.
Yes. So iRacing came out and said that they are going to be partnering with iRacing, or iRacing came out. They're going to be partnering with NASCAR, and they are going to be the official console maker of a NASCAR game with all 36 races, all drivers. Now, what I'm curious about, though, is this is what I don't want to see.
Okay.
I don't want to see cross-population between the actual sim and the console game, because I don't want to be dealing with these little kids and little controllers going on and trying to race. It's going to be bad. I don't think they'd be able to do that anyways, because if you have, they can't
It's
make
two
it a
different
subscription.
platforms. It's like you're playing.
Yes, exactly.
It's like you're playing. It's like you'd be playing Fortnite and what was the other one? Battlefield.
Yeah.
What was it?
PUBG.
PUBG.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
it'd be kind of like that. You know, that's two different games. You know, and I feel like that's what it's going to be. But I feel like this is going to open up a lot of eyes to iRacing, and I feel like it's also going to bring console. I mean, this is a step in the right direction, but I'm not getting my hopes up too much. You know, I am very excited if you couldn't tell, but I'm not going to get my hopes up too much because last time I got my hopes up about a NASCAR game, I played it one time and I haven't touched it since.
But very different producers. You got
very
iRacing,
different,
and then
established producers.
Motorsport Games is literally like a garbage can in New York City with rats in it.
How is Motorsports Game on NASDAQ? I saw that. I'm just like, how are you? Never. I don't.
They need to be. They need to be done. They're done. They're gone. Canceled. Out of here. Bye.
Canceled. They'll get canceled. I know. This is what'll cancel them if they make a Formula One game. That'll cancel them because
there's no way.
No, the Formula One community will cancel them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No. That's
all the Lewis Hamilton fans will say it's racist. All right. Thank you so much for listening to the Flag to Flag podcast. John, go ahead. Send us off.
So, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, a very short episode, only an hour today.
We got it done. We got it rolling.
There we go. So please like and subscribe and give us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And also give us a follow on all of our social media channels. It is at flag_podcast on Instagram, but everywhere else it is at flag podcast on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube. We're also going to start trying to post on Twitter, I guess X a little bit more.
I gotta reset the password. I forgot the password. I forgot the password for the account, so that's why nothing's been going on Twitter because I forgot the password.
I know who's going to be now managing the Twitter. It's going to be me, not
there you
go.
So,
but we've reached the checkered flag here at the Flag to Flag podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned next week when we talk about the results of the first race of the round of 8 at Vegas, and then I think that's about it.
We got our local racing report as well. We're gonna have.
I think that should
that's
be it,
becoming harder and harder to find. A lot of tracks are ending off their seasons. Yeah, but local racing report. If we hear anything come out about IndyCar, we'll definitely report on it. And if we hear anything coming out about Formula One leading into the U.S. Grand Prix at COTA.
There we go. That is it. Checker flag. See ya.